Hey guys, back again with another review, this time on Star Fox Zero for the Wii U. And, okay, I'm not the biggest Star Fox fan, I'll say that right off the bat. I like Star Fox 64, I think that's a fun game. I don't go back to it constantly like a lot of people do. And the original Star Fox, I'm actually not the biggest fan of. It's a little too hard for me, like I think that game is just way too punishing. But it's a hell of a lot better than this game. Yeah, Star Fox Zero is a complete piece of shit. This game is fucking terrible. It started off okay. I actually liked it for the first, like, 2 levels, but it gets worse the more you get into it. And this game's gotten a mixed response. And, you know, on some places like NeoGAF, I've seen a lot of people that say this game's amazing. And that's just baffling to me because... yeah, a lot of people have been bringing up the controls with this game. The kind of... you know, Nintendo likes to call these controls innovative, and they're definitely not. The controls are garbage, and they completely ruin the game. And unfortunately, the game is designed around these controls, so it's not like a thing where you can just add traditional controls to the game and then it just fixes everything. No, they'd have to really rebuild the game from the ground up, and it's such a shame that Miyamoto. This is all Miyamoto's fault. I'm not gonna actually put the blame on Platinum Games 100% here. Because I'm sure this game probably started off as like a traditional Star Fox game. But of course Miyamoto has to come in and, you know, he has to have these Wii U gamepad controls. He has to, I don't know, he has to put in these bullshit controls instead of, you know, just having a normal fucking video game. Yeah, this game actually pissed me off. I'm honestly pretty angry. I kind of, like... I really regret buying it. I really wasted my money. I got a good discount on it too. I paid $40 Canadian, which is a really good deal. But even that, even for $40, it's a complete waste of time and money. Stay away from this game. Before we even get into the review any deeper, just stay away. It's a bad game. But yeah, the controls are the big problem with this game. And, you know, Miyamoto's just ruined a lot of games lately. Sticker Star, Paper Mario Sticker Star, he's the one that wanted, like, no partner characters, no RPG elements, all this other bullshit. Like, he's just... I don't know, man. Like... I know, you know, obviously he's this legendary figure. I'll always respect him for his old games, but man, I don't know. I don't know. His current work is just, ugh, I don't know, not a fan. Well, we'll start with the story. There's not too much to say. Andros has come back. You know, you gotta, you know, defeat Andros. Whatever. That, you know, no one cares about the story and characters all that much in a Star Fox game. You got some kind of, you know, corny dialogue here, and some of it's kind of funny. There's a lot of throwbacks to, like, you know, the classic Star Fox games, but yeah, no one plays these games for the story. We're just gonna go right into the gameplay here, which is where the game really falters. Now, I guess we'll just talk about the controls right off the bat. It's, you know, it's very similar to Star Fox 64. I've heard a lot of people say it's almost like a remake. I don't know about that. Like, there's a few levels that are identical, but most of the levels are actually new. I think it is its own game. It's not really a reimagining or anything like that of 64, but it is most similar to that game in the sense where you've got, like, this chart of different planets you go to, and there's kind of almost like a non-linear structure. Depending on some of the actions you take in certain missions, you'll have a different path that you'll go on. And once you beat the game, you can go back and take alternate routes throughout these planets, and you can unlock hidden levels. Like hidden harder levels. So the structure of the game is very similar to Star Fox 64. Now Star Fox 64, you know, you had the Landmaster tank for some of the stages, but most of the game was you were in your R-Wing, and you had like the kind of on-rails parts, and then you had the all-range mode parts, where you kind of just flew around these open environments. And this game... The best parts of this game are when you're controlling the R-Wing and you're doing the on-rails shooter segments, because the controls are decent there, and basically the game's got only a scant few of those on-rails sections. Most of the game is the all-range mode areas, and then the other vehicles that they've added to this game. There's a Landwalker, which is like this kind of chicken robot, and it controls like shit. It's really annoying. And you can transform between the different vehicles in a lot of the missions. And then there's like this helicopter where you have to like... You fly around these environments really slowly, and you have like this robot that kind of grapples down from your helicopter, and you can like activate panels. and things like that. So you have like these kind of puzzle type levels. Although there's not too many of them in the game, luckily, because they're boring as fuck. They're not as annoying because the controls actually work relatively well in those levels, but they're really boring. They're just not fun to play. But yeah, let's get into the controls. So Star Fox 64, you just had analog controls controlling your ship. The aiming worked well. You were able to shoot the enemies, and it was designed around that control method, and it just worked, and it was fun, and it was great. Now, in Star Fox Zero, you basically have to alternate between the gamepad and the TV screen. They show different parts of the game, where the TV screen shows your bigger environment, where you get a good view of like the battlefield and the area you're going to be playing in, and you have the ship view in third person. You've got your ship flying around, and you can control your ship with the analog stick for like the on-rails sections and the like all range mode stuff and the Landmaster stuff. But your reticle, you have like this reticle that goes out in front of you, but aiming this reticle with the D-pad is almost impossible. You're not going to get accurate shots, and this game, you have to have extremely accurate shots. The weak points that you have to target are very small, and even in like the dogfight parts where you're in the dogfighting mode, your targets are so small that you need accurate aiming. So the reticle is just completely fucked on the top screen. Like, it's always going where you don't want it to go. The aiming is completely off. You miss almost like 90% of the time that you're trying to target things. So it's basically a lost cause in that sense. You really can't control the game looking just at the top screen. You have your typical type Star Fox type moves. You can do a somersault to dodge attacks. You have like a lock-on mode that is really stubborn and doesn't work well at all. You have your quick turn, your U-turn, and there's a few different ways to activate that stuff. The easiest way, though, is just to use like the X and B buttons to do that kind of stuff. But on the bottom screen, on the gamepad, you've got your cockpit view, and this is the innovative part of the game, but it's fucking trash. Where it's this first-person viewpoint, and you've got your reticle, and you have to use gyroscope controls to move this reticle, and you can do this on the top screen as well. But that adds its own problems because the gyroscope controls are fucking awful. They've been awful in every single fucking game, and it's terrible here because your reticle constantly gets off-center, and you always have to keep readjusting it to the center of the screen with the Y button, and you have to like twist your gamepad all the way to the left or all the way to the right to see certain enemies in the environments, to like aim at certain parts of the environment, and it's such a pain in the ass. And this cockpit view, you need to use it to have accurate shots because it is more accurate than your your third person view. The problem is you can't see shit in this first-person view, and you can kind of control your vehicles a little bit, but if you want to control your ship to dodge incoming attacks, you have to look at the top screen. You're just not going to be able to dodge attacks efficiently enough with using just the bottom screen. So you're playing this game, and you're constantly looking between the gamepad and the TV screen, and it's a nightmare. And like the gyroscope controls just never work. The first-person viewpoint, you can't see any of the things that are coming after you, so you can't see what's attacking you. So you're constantly getting hit by shit you can't see. And oh, did I mention that this game is fucking difficult? Like, very difficult. It demands a lot out of you. If you're not completely accurate with your shots, you're going to fail. The checkpointing is really brutal. You have to go back quite a long ways if you lose all your lives. The bosses are insanely difficult, and they take forever to kill. And if you run out of lives, you have to go back in the beginning of the level. Sometimes you'll have to like restart the entire mission. There's a bunch of irritating objectives, like there's time-based objectives. There's like a stealth segment of sorts early in the game. The hidden levels are complete bullshit. Like, you have to go through like an entire level just to access a hidden route. And then once you get to this hidden route, you got these annoying boss battles that have 5-minute time limits. And if you don't do it, and obviously like they're insanely difficult, it's very hard to hit anything. You're struggling with the controls. You're fighting with the controls like 100% of the time with this game, the entire way through this game. And I beat this game. I beat it. I beat the final boss. The final boss is such a fucking pain in the ass because you constantly have to look between the gamepad and the TV screen, and you've got the chicken walker robot with the shitty controls, and it's just a mess. And these hidden levels, I beat all the hidden levels too, and it was such a fucking pain in the ass. Like, this game is one of the most frustrating games I've ever played, and I was kind of optimistic for it, actually. I was thinking, you know what, maybe people are kind of wrong with this. Maybe the controls are not as bad as people make them out to be, but I don't know. I put in 5 hours at least into this game, and the controls never felt like second nature to me. I just am, man, it's just such a bummer, this game. Like, cause there are some, like, there is some good design in this game, and it can be fun. I'd say there's maybe 30 minutes of good content in this game, and most of it is all like the on-rails sections, where you're like dodging parts of the environment that are flying after you, you're having all like these, you're doing all these like tight squeezes into parts of the environment, you're collecting all these rings, enemies all over the place, explosions all over the place, and it's just really fast-paced and fun, but it's so short-lived, and before you know it, you're back into another all-range mode section where it's like impossible to dodge attacks, you're constantly fighting with the controls. Oh, man, this fucking game. But, I mean, what else with the gameplay? I don't know. It's really gimmicky, too. Like, it's just not fun. The game's just not fun to play. And if it was just a traditional Star Fox game, if it was just trying to be a normal fucking video game, and not trying to use the fucking Wii U gamepad for all this gimmicky garbage, it might have been good. But, nope. This is what we get. This is what Star Fox fans get. And yeah, I don't know about the sales with this game. We might not ever get a Star Fox game again. This might be the last one we get, which is, that's a huge fucking shame. Visuals, I've always thought that this game looked terrible when they first showed it off, but now that it's come out, I actually kind of like the way this game looks. It's got like this really clean look to it. It's actually probably one of the better looking games on the Wii U. Obviously, compared to other stuff like you know, PS4 and Xbox One games, it doesn't look that great. But it's got a smooth frame rate. I think it's 60 frames per second. The frame rate almost never drops, so it's a good looking game. The audio is quite good too, although there's one big issue with it. The voice acting is nice and corny. The music's really good. A lot of great songs from Star Fox 64 and the original Star Fox, I think. But the voices only come through the gamepad. I don't know why. It makes no fucking sense, and you can't change it. You can't have the TV put out the voices as audio. I don't know. I don't get that design decision. It makes no sense to me. But that's another stupid fucking gimmick that this game's got. I mean, I guess that's about it. I mean, yeah, it's a terrible fucking game. It's awful. I can't. Oh man. I guess another thing I can talk about, Star Fox Guard, the other game that came with it, which I was hoping I would like this, because, you know, and honestly, I'm not a fan of Star Fox Guard either, but at least it's not terrible. And I can see some people really digging it. It's basically a tower defense game where you've got like security cameras, and you kind of tap on the gamepad screen to kind of switch between them, and you're shooting all these robots that are trying to get to this tower. It's pretty simple. There's not a whole lot to it, but if you like tower defense games, it's probably pretty cool. I was really bad at it. That type of game I'm just really bad at, like a multitasking game. It was very overwhelming for me. I'm just not a fan of tower defense games, so it really didn't do much for me. But it's not a disaster. It's like this nice little mini game, and it's not disastrous like Star Fox Zero is. But I don't know. Maybe I've heard some people are able to get over these controls and go for the medals and you know, really get a lot out of this game. I don't understand how anyone can fucking adapt to these controls. Like, I don't know. In my opinion, they're just garbage. Like, I mean, yeah, you can probably get used to them, I guess, but it's like, I'm sorry. Like, I'd much prefer traditional controls. And like I was saying, like, the game is really designed around these controls because, unlike Star Fox 64, you just have to be so much more accurate in this game. And everything's just really demanding and difficult, surprisingly so. But yeah, I don't know. There's not much else to say. It's a very short game too. Like I said, like 5 hours, and I was done with it. I mean, you can go for all the medals, but yeah, I don't want to replay these fucking atrocious missions over and over again. No thanks. But yeah, that's it. That's the review of Star Fox Zero. Don't get this game, please don't get this game. Now, I wonder if it's going to be one of those Nintendo games that drops in price really quickly. It might actually be one because the response has been fairly mixed, and there's been a lot of negative reviews. But Yeah, it's one of the worst Nintendo published games I've played in a long time. And it's probably Platinum's my least favorite Platinum game. I think the only other Platinum game I liked less than this, although I don't know, it may be tied, is Mad World. Like I hated Mad World. I thought that was a really terrible game. But yeah, disappointing. Not only disappointing, just a really bad game. Which I tend to stay away from. A lot of people like to call a lot of games bad, and I don't know. A lot of games aren't really that bad, really. And a lot of the bad games, people aren't going to really even play. It's a lot of like the shovelware, like the kind of stuff you saw on the original Wii. But honestly, this game I think is actually legit terrible. It's ugh. But yeah, that's it, guys. Thanks you for watching. I know, really negative, but I'm playing another game now that's so much better. I'm back to having fun with the game, so. Yeah, and I can probably sell this for more than I paid for it, and I'm probably going to do that because, yeah, fuck this game. But, yeah, that's it, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.